Welcome to another episode of Slasher Sunday. I think it was pretty obvious what movie I was going to be doing today, April Fool's Day. I'm actually recording this on Friday, so I'll ruin the magic for you. And it's only been Friday for like an hour and a half, so I'm doing this way early. But I had some time and threw it on and was like, fuck it. So I couldn't have said that, but I'm an honest kind of guy. So it's not Sunday for me, but it is for you. Now, the poster of this movie, which I'm sure I will use as my lead in here, is one of my very favorite posters from the VHS video store days. That freaking noose braid that Deborah Foreman's character has on the cover. I don't know what it is about that cover. There's many, as I said, I'm going to make a video eventually of all my favorite covers from back in that day, but this is one of them, absolutely. So I always wanted to watch this when I was a kid, and I did, but it was just one of those ones that I always had to pick up and look at because I thought it was so cool. This is the same director as When a Stranger Calls 1 and 2, When a Stranger Calls Back, which is a very good sequel. This movie honestly has one of the coolest casts of all time for me because I'm such a huge fan of 80s teen high school comedies. And this movie seriously has the lot of them. My good God. We've got Julie, Deborah Foreman, from Valley Girl, which is one of my all-time favorite romance movies and, you know, the aforementioned subgenre I just said. We have Larry Kazamias from Summer School, which is another favorite. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it on here a million fucking times. We have two characters from Just One of the Guys. One of my all-time favorite films. Buddy is like my spirit animal. That is my favorite comedic character ever on screen. So that movie is a big part of my heart. And we get Deborah and Rick Morehouse in this movie from Just One of the Guys, which is amazing. We get Ginny from Friday the 13th Part 2, the final girl, a lot of people's favorite Friday the 13th final girl. And we get Biff from Back to the Future as well. So we just get a ton of uber familiar faces to me, a huge fan of 80s films. Now, what is interesting about this movie, and I think I'm going to spend a little more time talking about the cast than I am the entire film, because what makes this film difficult to talk about is that, you know, it's spoilers, obviously, that the whole thing is an April Fool's joke. So nobody in this movie dies. And it's a slasher movie where no one dies. And because no one dies, they can't show anyone actually dying. So we get no real gore and we get no real on-screen kills. Now we do get some carnage of some sort, which ends up being, you know, gags in their world, in their reality, fake severed heads that we think are real before we find out the big reveal. But I love the balls that this movie had to set it on April Fool's Day and to actually make it a full-on April Fool's practical joke the entire film. And they make you believe, like, multiple times, like, okay, this is really happening this time. Even all the way up to the very end. Like, after the whole thing is revealed, then they do another one where a person gets killed, and then it's an April Fool's joke. Like, they commit to the April Fool's thing. And I love that the main character's birthday is April Fool's, and she plays off of that by setting up this big April Fool's murder spree. It's a great concept, and I love that they committed to it. Unfortunately, it doesn't make for an extremely entertaining film. I did like it, for sure, because I love the characters, and not just because of their the characters that they've played in previous films, but I actually genuinely enjoyed the interactions with one another and the dialogue and all that stuff. So I liked that. The horror aspect of it, I didn't like as much because, I already knew those twists So we knew none of them were dying, but also because we didn't really get to see any of it. It's done completely off screen. They just go, and then that's it. And you're like, okay, and then we see severed heads later, and that kind of hurts, but I'll talk about as much as I can. There is a silly little like match cut here where she talks about a wiener, and then it cuts to like a wiener being pushed out of the package into a pan. Oh man, that was a silly ass. Another thing, like she was born on April Fool's Day, and they seem to give her a damn freaking April Foolies kind of name. Muffy? Really? And the guy even states, like, I looked into it. That is literally her name. This is not a nickname of any sort. This isn't some cute name that her friends or her family gave her that's stuck and she's actually like Melissa or whatever. Muffy. Wow, Muffy. That is a serious joke. That's a joke that lasts all year round. You don't even have to wait till April Fool's for that one. And there's, I mean, outside of the game itself, like that they're playing for this eventual escape room adventure, freaking Clue whodunit weekend getaway idea that she has, there's just April Fool's jokes being played by everyone throughout the entire film. So this title really applies. They went for it. Another fucking cat being thrown at the screen. So stupid. I know I talk about that a lot, but come on. I like that Rick Morehouse and Deborah, if you're a big fan of just one of the guys like I am, in that movie, he's very, he's in hot pursuit of her throughout the film. He ends up obviously with Terry, which is who he should, even though that's very odd, but I'm going to save that for a different time. I will talk about that movie eventually, somehow, but he does get her in this, and we get to see a very crazy sex position that he's in. I'm not sure that would be comfortable or pleasurable for anyone involved. So I'm not sure. They may need to rethink it. They obviously are getting pretty bored and are trying to spice things up a little early. I think these people are only supposed to be like 18 or 19. They're talking about getting into college. They all look 25 though. When she comes to open up her window and her shirt is open and you could almost see her tits, it's clearly taped right here so that it won't open, and it's very frustrating. And I like that they're trapped on an island. They can't get away. That's a good setting for this. And the girl, Deborah, falls into the well, and this jerk off freaking guy that's there for her money, which that's never even really explored. Like, that's a subplot that's never explored. Like, this guy is there to use this girl for her money. Like, he's trying to get Deborah Foreman's character in bed. He's trying to woo her over so he can steal her money. And that's never brought up again. Like, that's just, like, that's why he's there. And you think that's going to be a thing. And it's just never a thing. But anyway, he's there and he's trying to fuck Deborah. And Deborah Foreman and Deborah from Just One of the Guys. Shit, that's confusing. I just realized that. Sorry. But I'll say Foreman if I'm talking about her, or Julie is what I should be calling her. I don't know what the fuck the people's names in this movie are. Okay? You better be an 80s fan if you want to know what the fuck I'm talking about. But he should have been helping her out of that well. Really? He couldn't have went down one more rung to stick his hand out to pick her up out of the water like he's holding? There's plenty of other rungs on that freaking well ladder. And he's like, come on. And she keeps reaching. Oh my God, oh my God. One more step? You couldn't have taken one more step? You pussy. And I like that they find the dolls that look like them, and all the dolls have been killed in the ways that they have been in the movie. That was eerie. If you didn't know this was happening as a prank, and if you're watching the movie, that's a really cool moment. I love that that Larry Kazamass, the Ginny's boyfriend in this movie, he keeps getting attacked, and his response to all of this is just to continue to keep screaming out that he loves his girlfriend. Man, what a good guy. This guy truly loves his girlfriend. If that's what he wants his dying words to be constantly over and over and over again, like, I love you, I need you to know this. And then once the prank is done and they come out, he's still trapped in there screaming. The guy comes out with the prosthetic and he punches him in the face. I love that he punches the guy in the face, and his response to that is just to grab him and kiss his face and then rip it off and slap it on him. Like, it was so funny to me. Like, he wasn't fazed by his punch at all. I guess freaking Larry Kazamass needs to be hitting the gym. Although he's fucking ripped in summer school. He's an exotic male dancer, and he's got a great body. So, I don't know. He doesn't look like he kept it up in this movie, so this must be a couple years after that, because when he takes off his shirt in this, he is not as fit as he was in that one. And the whole... of course, we have to suspend some major disbelief that all of this would go according to plan and that it worked out perfectly. Although she does state, like, I can't believe it all worked out. And I do like that one of the characters is like, you could have gotten fucking killed. And she's like, yeah, one of you was close. I'm glad they addressed that, but seriously, she probably would have got killed. Like, yeah, you don't do this to people. They will kill you. And they took this way better than most people would. These friends have a sense of humor that's legendary, because Jenny and Larry Kazamass at the end of this, no fucking way. Especially Larry, no way. They scared him so bad, and Biff's character shit his pants, and he was almost he was almost fucking bitten by a snake. No way. When they find out that this girl was inheriting a house, they'd be suing her ass for damages. Holy shit. But this would be insane to do to somebody. Supposedly that Suicide Girl first real horror movie, which is totally not real, but if it was, I guess it could be possible it was true. Those girls are idiots if it is, but that's supposedly this. So if you want to see this actually happening, as I said, I don't believe it's true, but I did watch that back in the day. All Cheerleaders Die, or All Suicide Girls Die, or All Cheerleaders Die. That's a fucking Lucky McKee movie. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Suicide Girls movie. I don't know what the hell it's called. Something like that. But it's supposedly like this, but in reality. So, sorry this one isn't longer. Usually Slasher Sundays run much longer than this. But as I said, there was just not a ton to talk about in this movie. That was fucking super dangerous for that guy to get behind the boat and let that thing crush him so he could come up with a prosthetic on. That was one dangerous ass prank. So anyway, guys. All right, well, until next week, adios.